And you can see that this property is projected to make $112,000 per year. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to find the most profitable Airbnbs in your market. I'm going to be doing a future video to show you what some of the best markets in the country are and how to find a market that fits your portfolio and find good markets in the future. But the focus of today's video is finding the highest grossing Airbnbs in the market of your choice. So where we want to start is go to Airbnb, and then you want to type in the name of the market that you're considering investing in. So for this example, we're going to be using the Ozarks. It's probably popularized by that Netflix TV show, The Ozarks.
I wouldn't fuck you if your dick were made out of gold.
You one-mounted gun, ain't you?
Cunt likes to kick!
Oh, yo, what the fuck is
Get some! Skinny bitch!
Cody, get your ass over here!
Same area. So Osage Beach is one of the more popular areas in the Ozarks. So we're going to be searching there. You don't have to put any dates or times or amount of guests, just hit search. So now we're in Osage Beach. So what you want to do is you want to filter down to the highest by price. So you go to this filter and then you drag over and you want the last about 1/4 of the price range for the market to see the highest revenue places in that market. So we filter it down, and then looking at this map view, you can see that there's a cluster of high grossing properties right on the waterfront here, and then right on the waterfront here. Okay, so it's very important that you look at this map view pretty closely. See where the pockets of high grossing properties are. Then you go to Zillow and you're going to type in the market again. Okay, so we're in Osage Beach. We're going to go ahead and remove this boundary. So you want to filter on Zillow to 5 bedrooms. So to get the most money from a property, you want more beds and heads is what they would always say. But the more bedrooms you have, the higher revenue potential that the property is going to have. There are benefits to having 1 and 2 bedroom places if you're doing like a midterm strategy that's targeting nurses or working professionals. But for the purposes of this, if you're trying to find the highest revenue, you definitely want to use 5 bedrooms plus. The bathrooms don't matter. And then you're going to hit apply. Okay, so we applied. And now you can see we're looking at Osage Beach. And there's not too many options for 5 bedrooms here. Quite a few of these are outside of most people's price range. So we're going to go ahead and click on this cheapest one right here. All right. So it's a beautiful little property. It's right on the river there. It's nestled in these trees. It's right at 600,000. So let's copy this address. And then you want to go and figure out how much money this home can generate. So there's 2 websites people use to determine how much revenue Airbnb property can generate. The 2 most popular ones are Airdna and Rabbu. I personally prefer to use Rabbu, and I will show you why. So let's go to Rabbu.com I'll leave a link to Rabbu in the down below for this video. So we'll paste in our address, and then it's a 5-bedroom. And you can see that this property is projected to make $112,000 per year. So Rabbu, what I like about Rabbu over Airdna is it shows you the seasonality of the property. So opposed to long-term rentals where every month you get the same amount of money every single month, short-term rentals, there are some months out of the year that you can make significantly more money than other months of the year. So this graph here is showing that this Ozarks market makes most of its money between about May and September, with a very strong peak in June, July, August. And you're gonna have some very slow months between January, February, March, November, December. So a good chunk of the year. So this market isn't one that I personally would like to invest in, because if anything happens with your property in these few months, you're gonna lose out on the majority of your income for the year. But as you can see, it has that potential to get 6 figures. Okay, the other way I wanted to show you how to determine the revenue for short-term rental is using Airdna's Rentalizer. So that's the name of the tool that they have on their website for pricing out short-term rentals. So you just type that into Google, and then it should be one of the first couple results. Then you want to scroll down and paste in the address. 5 bedrooms, it was 3 bathrooms. And then for accommodates, you want to assume 2 people per room. So in this case, accommodates 10. Then calculate earning potential. Boom. And then you can see that Airdna projects that this same property will make $105,000 per year with an occupancy of 47%, which is in line with what we saw at Rabbu, with that seasonality peaking in the summer months. And they give you an estimate of the operating expenses. I will tell you that this operating expense number is way off. You're gonna see a lot higher expenses than this with a short-term rental, especially if you put property management in place, if you don't plan to manage the day-to-day yourself. Short-term rental property managers usually charge between 20 to 25% of gross revenue to manage the property for you. And that's a substantial chunk of money, especially if we're talking about a 6-figure property. But if you're trying to build a business and make it passive and save your time, it's something that you can consider. And I will say that Airdna has accurately predicted Airbnb's revenues much better than Rabbu. They were actually 99% accurate on the revenue projections for Airbnb. So this is a very good number for the property. But one thing to note is if you search this same property at different times of the year, this revenue projection could change. So if you searched it closer to the season months, it will project higher. And if you search it in the lower months of the year, it will show lower. Okay, so I just showed you how you find the highest grossing properties in a market, but that's not the entire story. There's some other considerations when you're selecting a Airbnb property that you're trying to purchase or selecting a market. So one big thing that we try and avoid when we're purchasing a property is HOAs. So a lot of HOAs have restrictive policies when it comes to short-term rentals. And if a property is in an HOA, it's very likely that in the future that HOA is going to try and block short-term rental usage of their property. So we try and avoid HOAs, so that's one consideration. Another consideration are the short-term rental rules for the market. So some markets have zoning where you can only actually purchase a short-term rental in particular parts of that market. And that is something to consider because you want to be operating your short-term rental legally. You don't want to be in a position where you're incurring fines and have to potentially shut down or sell your short-term rental because it's not in the right zone of that market. And then the big thing I kind of hinted at earlier is you need to consider both sides of the equation. There's this revenue side, which can be 6 figures, and I've even seen all the way up to over $200,000 on a single property. But there's the expenses side as well. And the expenses can really eat into your profit margin. So you have to consider if when you purchase the property, you're going to have to do renovations. You have to consider the budget for actually furnishing the property. You have to consider the whole picture if you're going to put property management in place, the age of the home, if the roof's going to have to be replaced in a few years, HVAC, pool, all these things go into the calculation of how much money you're actually going to make from the property. And I'll do a future video on how to analyze Airbnb's finances before you purchase, so you know what you're getting into. And the most important thing on this cash flow number is it assumes a high quality of management. So just having the right property in the right place is not enough to ensure that you're going to hit these revenue projections that we saw on Rabbu and Airdna. You actually have to be a good host. I know, it's crazy. Like, you're in the hospitality business and you have to be hospitable. So if you don't have the right amenities, if you skimp out on your design, if you aren't responsive to guests, if you don't have quality photos, so many people will go through this whole process, buy the perfect property, furnish it, and then they'll take photos on their cell phone. It's like, don't do that. Absolutely don't do that. Pay for professional photography. But the management piece is the most important piece of this whole business. You are the secret ingredient to getting these 6-figure incomes from a property. And as you might have noticed, the higher revenue properties also mean a higher purchase price. So if you're buying a property that's supposed to make $200K a year, it's very likely it's over $600,000, maybe approaching $1 million, which means you're gonna have to save some money for the down payment, for the furnishing, for the taxes, for the mortgage, because it takes about 6 months after you acquire an Airbnb to actually stabilize the property and really hit its stride. And that's just because you have to build up reviews and you have to make a lot of little adjustments on the dynamic pricing for the property to really maximize the revenue for it. And then the final thing that we're missing is that these high revenue properties have a lot more competition. There's going to be more people trying to purchase that property, and there's going to be more competitive Airbnbs in that same market. So your amenities have to be on par with the other Airbnbs that are making that revenue's amenities or better. And it's key that there's a cohesive theme to your property. A themed Airbnb will make more than just a generically designed Airbnb. And you need top tier design, top tier amenities, and top tier service to actually get these top tier revenue numbers. So that was it. I mean, those are some considerations beyond just finding the property. You have to make sure it can operate legally and that you are in a position to deal with the additional expenses of a property of that caliber. Please like and subscribe if you want future content, and keep tuning in.